Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am Christine Dixon of The Ordinary Sacred, and I'm taking a little bit of a break from our regular programming to lead you in an exercise because every now and then there are things that kind of affect us all collectively, whether it was the pandemic or natural disasters, wars, conflicts, things like that. And through social media and other outlets, we are exposed to this, and it activates so much in our systems. So recently, I know many of you have been watching what's happening in Israel and in Gaza and just feeling horrified. I've talked to a lot of people in my groups, family, friends, and there really is this collective sense of helplessness, grief, rage. And I think the thing is that we are each responsible for ourselves. And I really believe that the most important thing we can do is tend to the parts of us that get activated in a loving way, to have this loving inner relationship with whatever's alive in us. And if each person were to do that, the world would be a better place. And so let's start there. I just want to lead you in an exercise that I call the round table parts discussion, or parts attention, self-giving attention to the parts. And so for some of you, you might want to just visualize this. For others of you, you might want to draw it on a paper. I like to draw it because it helps me really see what the parts are saying or how they're feeling and give them attention. So I invite you to just settle your body in this space. You might take a breath and feel your body where it's connecting to the chair, the bed, or the floor. And make a decision to go inside, to make that YOU turn. And it doesn't have to be for very long, to just give attention to whatever's alive in you right now. So I do invite you for this exercise to put the topic of what's happening in Israel and Gaza in the center. So you might draw a circle and just write Israel, Gaza, or whatever you'd like to write. And you can do this exercise at any time with whatever topic, person, event that you would like. So I've just drawn a circle, and I'm putting this as the center of my attention and putting it on the table. And then the next thing is to just sit and allow whatever arises in you, whatever parts get activated, to come up for you. There might be discomfort in your body. You might notice, I'm noticing a lot of tension in my throat, in my jaw, in my shoulders, in my chest. So you might notice what's happening in your body. And again, you can just notice that, or you can write it down. I'm going to write mine down. And I like to say to whatever I notice, I see you. You are welcome here. You are not alone. Sometimes even with that, they can relax just a little bit. And I am in a moment going to give them more attention. But right now I'm just noticing every part that is here. So there might be different sensations in your body. You might notice emotional energy. You might notice anger, rage. You might notice fear, anxiety, sadness, grief, disgust, helplessness, hopelessness. Again, if you can, just notice those, name them. You might write them on the paper. I'm experiencing all of those. And then you might observe for a little while the thoughts that are going through your head. And you can have various points of view, even of different parts that are saying this, oh, but what about this? But what about this? So just notice whatever is being said thought-wise in your mind, and you might write that down. So I'm hearing in my mind a lot of questions like, when will the violence end? Will it end? Can it end? How can I tangibly help? I heard a part saying people are so crazy. One that's talking about how the war is extending into other parts of the world and within us. Again, if you need to pause the video and just listen to all these parts and give them voice, write it out on the paper so they're all represented. They're all in this roundtable discussion. And when you have given them all voice, you are the one at the head of the table or above this table that is able to have the perspective that can include and welcome all of these parts. So you might just do that. Just kind of imagine that you are holding, surrounding all of this that's inside of you right now, and that you are bigger than all of it and can extend loving kindness to every part. And then what I invite you to do is one by one, go to each thing, whether it showed up in your body, in your emotions, or as a thought. And you can do a little bit now and a little bit later if you want, but make an appointment with different parts and go to each one and ask them, what is your biggest fear? And what is your biggest need? And if you can, just let an answer come from those parts. If you have narrating or thinking parts, you might ask them to just give you space to receive from these parts, to just listen to them. Even if you have two parts that have very contrasting fears or needs, it's okay. You can hold it all. So I'll just do a couple here. So this is fascinating. This part that was holding so much tension in my shoulders and my chest and my jaw, when I asked its fear, it was not what I expected. Its fear is of being judged for doing or saying the wrong thing. So it's actually, this part is actually stressed about all of the tension around the polarized people's views around what's happening, who are saying you have to say and do things and have my point of view, or else you're my enemy now, right? And so it's interesting, this part is actually more worried about being perceived as doing the wrong thing or supporting the wrong side, or those kinds of things. It's worried about being bad, being wrong, and it's said that it just needs to be held. And it's so fascinating because those parts really do need to be tended to by the wise and loving self, so that they don't take over and perform or, act inauthentically, feel like I have to do this or that. Again, the more we can tend to the anxious, angsty parts of ourselves, the less we blend with those out in the world. And then I'll go ahead and meet with the part who's feeling rage and just see what comes from that. Again, what is your fear and what is your need? And I'm feeling emotion underneath it, which is very common. A lot of grief under the rage. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So what the rage is telling me is that its fear is of this unnecessary suffering happening. And these are parts that empathize with being tortured in my first marriage. So they're telling me that they really get uh, this incredible suffering and grief that people are experiencing. And so there's a lot of empathy that's happening and then rage that's coming out to protect. And they said what they need is they need to feel action, like in my body. They need to know that I'm doing something to protect those who are, not able to protect themselves. So I'll go ahead and meet with that part about what that is specifically, what we can do. So again, underneath the rage was really the sadness and the grief and parts that have experienced that, so empathize with it. And again, I'll go through the rest of these and really listen to them, ask them, what's your fear, what's your need? And just in being heard, right, then I can make a self-led plan going forward to meet those needs in a way that doesn't, blend with the rage and then make other people my enemy, but is more productive and creative. So I just wanted to give you that example. I encourage you again to do this exercise. If you want to share what came up for you in the comments, or if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them there. But know that whatever is alive in you is worthy of loving attention. And that is really, in my opinion, by far the most important thing that you can do to contribute toward peace in the world.